Hey everyone, my name's Walter, and I'm back here with more stories I found on Reddit. Today we're going to be talking relationship stories again. These will be coming from places like Reddit Relationships and Am I the Asshole? They don't have to be about romantic relationships, but they often are. Let's get started with Relationship Nightmares from Reddit. We recently covered a man who got married at his best friend's reception, so I thought we might as well talk about more wedding drama. This one gets pretty crazy. Am I the asshole for asking my half-sister not to have my dad walk her down the aisle? Before my mom and dad married, my mom was in a relationship with another man that produced a daughter, Mary. They broke up shortly after Mary was born, and within 6 months my mom had married my dad. They've been married for nearly 30 years and share 4 children, myself plus 3. Mary is close with our sisters and brother, but she and I have never really gotten along. We're just different personalities and see little of each other, so as to remain civil when we are together. We both became engaged to Mary around the same time. My dad has always loved Mary and viewed her as one of his kids, despite Mary having her own loving dad. Mary's dad battled cancer at various times in his life, and unfortunately he died when Mary was 20. I suppose I've always been a little jealous that my dad has always viewed Mary as his child, and she got the love of 3 parents. My dad has often said that part of falling in love with our mom was aided by baby Mary. I understand that a stepfather can love a stepchild just as much as a biological child, but factually, I am my father's oldest child, his first daughter, and I always thought that I would be the first child he walked down the aisle, the first daughter he shared a father-daughter dance with. I've always thought that I am entitled to this as the first daughter and first child. Mary has mentioned in our family Zoom chats that she's considering asking my dad to do the fatherly tasks at her wedding, walking down the aisle, giving her away, father-daughter dance. But she might also ask our brother, or one of her uncles from her dad's side, who she's very close to. After that chat, I called her to talk privately and asked her not to have my dad walk her down the aisle. I explained everything as I have above, apologized to her that her father can't be there, but my dad is not her dad, and I can never get back any of those firsts if she takes them. I pointed out that despite Mary not being his real child, my dad saw her first words, her first steps, her first everything, because he's been in her life since she was less than a year old. And when I came along, none of those things were as special to my dad as they should have been, and he refers to me as his second child. For what it's worth, Mary has never considered my dad anything more than a stepfather. They get along well, they love each other, but Mary has always been clear that her dad was her dad and my dad was her stepdad. Mary was incredibly offended by my request and called me a few choice names and logged off. She is now ignoring my calls and texts as I try to further explain. She obviously told our mom and my dad because my dad sent me a text telling me that he was disappointed in me and that families come in all shapes and sizes. It was never my intent to hurt anyone, but I feel very strongly about this and had to speak up or regret it. Was I an asshole? I mean, she was the asshole and apparently still is. Who cares if you're not the first? This is ridiculous. So this is the version that she told. Bear in mind that she already looks really bad in this one, but she's leaving out a bunch of details that her half-sister apparently showed up to share with us. For the love of God, I think I might be Mary because this is literally what is happening with myself and my sister Lucy. When our brother said that someone on Am I the Asshole was posting something that was eerily similar to the fight going on, I thought he was joking, but obviously he is not. Hey y'all, I am Mary, the aforementioned half-sister. I even resurrected my old account just to comment here. Lucy, stop blasting family problems on the internet. You've already taken this to Facebook and you're texting all of Mom's family. You need to stop. You aren't even actually engaged to Hunter yet. You've only been together for a few months. You know Seth and I have been together for 7 years. Seriously, you've always been irrational, but this is absolutely ridiculous. You need to take this post down and stop telling a half-skewed version of facts. If anyone would like to know the parts of the story that she is leaving out, feel free to message me or comment here. There's a lot more going on here than my sister is letting on. I'm sorry, everyone. You're investing yourself in a half-baked drama without all the facts. My sister has always done this. I'm so sorry she's brought you all into it. I'm sorry. Edit. I hope I've helped clear this thing up a little. At least you had the rare opportunity to see the other side of the argument. I'm glad my brother subs Am I the Asshole and saw this when he was sorting by new. Normally he scrolls past anything dealing with weddings, but he said this one sort of hit home because of what's going on and he knew it was us from reading it. I'm going to go away now. I'm tired, I've got to work in the morning. I hope this has been helpful to some. Thanks everyone for listening. Good night. Lucy, get help. Love you. Man, I have no idea why you'd scroll past the wedding posts. They could be some really primo shit. The OP seems to corroborate that this is actually our sister. Let's read some more things that the sister told us. Lucy also told me that if I wanted Dad to walk me down the aisle, then I should consider investing in a shovel or a backhoe and hoping the human decay process isn't too far along. Yep. Great how she tries to act like she gave a shit to Reddit. This is a very selfish person. She's 25, it turns out. Can you imagine being jealous that your dad saw someone else's first steps first? It boggles the mind. Let's read some more. I see that. I know it seems like she deserves it, but honestly, it won't do anything. From as far back as the age of 7, she has had teachers and other adults advocating she get therapy. Our parents put her in therapy, but she stopped going when she was 13 and the therapist couldn't do anything about it. Around the age of 10, our mom and pa and the kids actually moved to California for Mom's career. I stayed behind in New York with my dad because I couldn't stand living with Lucy anymore. She was like this as a small child. None of this is new behavior. I love her and I wish she would get help. She has moments where she can be an incredible person. She's an advocate for animal rights and has saved over 100 animals that otherwise would have died or been killed. She volunteers at nursing homes and homeless shelters. She once raised over $20,000 for a local domestic violence shelter. She's an amazing singer. She can paint, dance, she's smart as a whip, and got a doctorate at age 22. She's also just nuttier than squirrel poo. Let me see. Since Lucy wants to air dirty laundry in public, then I see no reason why I should refrain. It's cathartic, I suppose. I once won a very prestigious local writing competition, and Lucy was so angry that I did that she burned a box set of my favorite books. I was bought a small car when I was 16, and Lucy was so angry that she went Carrie Underwood on it. She spent the entirety of my dad's funeral mocking it because he was a Catholic, and I was raised Catholic as well, and his funeral was a high mass. I did a little acting when I was in my early 20s, never got famous, but I got a nice little chunk of change. One role got me a little press attention. Lucy, then a teenager, shared several embarrassing stories and photos with the reporters. Fortunately, I could find no trace of it online, so I guess I got saved. Oh, my dad, a second-generation Italian-American, took me on a trip to the town his ancestors came from in Italy before they immigrated, and Lucy sent me several Wikipedia articles on plane crashes. But fear not, she's like this with our other siblings as well. This does give us a lot of insight. She said that she didn't do this intending to hurt anyone, but it seems like she does shitty things to people all the time for no other reason than hurting them. It's a pretty sad story. You'll have to let me know what you think. Anyway, I have one more story today, and it's also wedding related. And also from Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for disinviting all my friends for my wedding? I, 28 male, will be marrying my fiancée, 24 female, and we are also having a baby. Just to give a background, my fiancée Evelyn and I have been dating for 4 years, and honestly it's been great. She's my rock, and I can't imagine my life without her. Evelyn is completely different from all the women I have dated in the past. They were tall and blondes, whereas my Evelyn is short, barely reaches my shoulders, and is a brunette, and to me she looks like a fairy. Which is also the first thought I had when I saw her, and since then, fairy has become a nickname from me for her. My friends Dan, Jacob, and Ryan, all 28, always seemed to dislike Evelyn, especially Dan saying she wasn't my type. But I always brushed it aside, thinking they were just confused. But as they saw how serious I had gotten with her, given that my past relationships had lasted less than a year, the insults and cheating accusations became frequent. And I even went 5 months without talking to them until they apologized. They were also always nice to her and didn't show any sign of hatred, so she never knew about this. Since COVID restrictions had been lifted in my country, I invited all my friends to a restaurant to give them the news of our engagement and pregnancy. Evelyn and I arrived early and were sitting when our friends entered, so they didn't notice the bump she had. We all sat down and the conversation was going smoothly, but I did notice Dan getting too drunk. So my brother, who knows about the news, casually asked, "So what's the special occasion?" To which I smiled brightly and showed our rings to everyone, and announcing our engagement and also about the baby, and the chaos unfolded. Dan suddenly threw his glass on the floor, screamed, "You fucking slut," pointing at my Evelyn, which had us all taken back. Jacob tried to hold him back, but he kept spouting profanities and saying, "You can't have his child. The fucking fairy is pregnant, and how fucking dare you?" Until the restaurant kicked us out. I was so shocked I couldn't even process anything, so me and Evelyn just left while she cried the entire way home. I'm now learning that Dan had a thing for Evelyn ever since I introduced her, and he always hoped that I would break up with her so he could have her, which is why he always badmouthed her while we were dating. But the most shocking thing, which I learned, was all of my friends, especially Jacob and Ryan, helped Dan, or either knew about it and didn't tell me, so in a rage I disinvited everyone from my wedding, and it has been a month since this happened. My parents, my sisters, and close relatives keep pressuring me to invite my friends, Dan excluded, to the wedding. Since the wedding is approaching, my parents called me an asshole for not inviting any of my friends, and now even I'm reconsidering everything since all of my friends did apologize. But at the same time, they completely broke my trust and almost made me lose the woman I love. So am I the asshole for disinviting all of my friends for my wedding? I can't fathom why those friends would want to show up after all this. That would be awkward as hell, wouldn't it? I can't help but feel this guy should have told his fiancée about all the hate and cheating accusations, even if he didn't believe them. Because it has to suck to suddenly find out your friends don't actually like you right before your wedding. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments if you like, but that is about all the time I have for you today, in this very special wedding-themed episode. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you have something to say, once again, make sure you let me hear it. If you're new here and want similar content, consider subscribing, because that number is supposed to be important. And now I'm going to shout out my patrons real quick. They help me by supporting me more directly over on Patreon, so thank you. Jimmo, Anui Blue, Levon, Maxo11X, Chris Sturman, MDB3000, Bumbus McDunga, Amanda Gillies, Bethy Williams, Big Mike Shirley, Cacti Lady Wither, Cho, Daniel Delapenna, Deborah Douglas, Dr. A, Horatio T, Justin Godsey, Kitty Sparkles, Clipper, Leanne Summers, Ouroboros, Rob Sop, Sammy, Sandyman, Spoonie the Rogue, V stands for, Wernology, William Ash, Jacob K, Camper Supreme, Psychic Kumquat, Alex Anakin, Alan Fang, Knit1 Code 2, Lil Spoon, Ms. Mayhem, Staples aka Jerry Yeet, Ben Pott, Cockblocks, Francois Tremblay, Nick Lucarelli, and Petulant Panda. It really helps me out. I might be back tomorrow with something for St. Patrick's Day, but I also might be too drunk. We'll have to see. Have a great night, everyone, and I hope you manage to avoid wedding drama. This stuff can't be fun to actually go through.